stores and having conflict between each other. And I just want you to understand that the stores are a very important part of your local community. And it's very important that there is harmony between stores and and players. That is the main reason why I want to do this. This is retailer's best friend, the little guide to helping your local retailer maintain a healthy community. Before we get started, let me present myself. My name is Alexander Rodriguez. I am the founding father of this little game store right here, Gaming Zone, now Gaming Zone Online. In the last 5 years, we went from having a few tables and chairs in our parents' driveway to one of the biggest stores in Latin America right now. And how did we do that? We did our thing. No matter what everyone else was doing, we always did our thing, and we did it well. Where are we? Once you understand that your store, it's the most important part of your community, is where everything goes on, and you understand that it doesn't matter to your players what other stores are doing, what other places are doing. Your store really start growing and everything start working out for you. Where am I? I'm not here to tell anybody how to run your store or your friend's stores or whatever it is your goal. I want to give you the tools necessary to give you a proper advice to your local retailer. This guide is based on my experiences and my experience alone, and a few other retailers that I have met across my years working in this industry. This is directed also for judges who work closely with a store or wishes to help your local store a bit more and in their day-to-day work. I think it's really important that if you're gonna go with advice to your local retailer, that you know a bit about the things that are happening behind the counter. So this is my main focus on this presentation. Okay, so why would they listen to you? Why will your retailer listen to you? We judges are the greatest tool ever created for this business. I believe that whoever invented or whoever imagined the judge program never realized how big this was gonna get. Right now, we are a community of specialized professionals that help promote this institution for the love of the game. Now, we have the corporate side of this company. We see judges as a very high value asset because the kinds of skills we bring to this business, the kind of skills we bring to the business is a really helpful tool for us. Most of our events could not be done without judges. Actually, none of this could be done if we didn't have such great judges like the ones we had present today. Okay. So we judges are usually tend to be associated with just one store, and I want you to understand that it's very important that you help your stores communicate between each other, and that they make sure that they have a good relationship with each other. It isn't really nice. It isn't a nice environment when the stores are actually fighting with each other and have a lot of issues between each other. It's a whole lot better when all the stores of your area are actually cooperating with each other and coordinating so that their tournaments don't conflict with each other, so players can have more accessibility to each tournament, and that is one of the places where you as a judge can help the most. So what are the basics? Events. Every event must be optimized. What do I mean? Your player satisfaction, your event exposition, your staffing, and most important of all, and I can emphasize this more, a solid return of investment. You gotta remember that time is a really valuable asset, and whenever you invest time into any event, then sites will be taken into consideration when you're calculating gains for that event. Remember that you're working. This is your work. So any time that you spend doing any event, doesn't matter how small is it. Doesn't matter if you're just sitting down with your friends and playing. This is time. This is time that is supposed to be work. It is fine for store owners, especially the small stores. Just sit down with your friends and just play whatever card games you're playing, whatever you're playing. But you gotta keep in mind very closely that this time should be considered free time and not actually work, because you're depriving very valuable time from your store, in which you could be organizing more events, working on your infrastructure, just doing something else for your store. And believe me, there is always something to be done in our hobby shops. You want your events to always have a good return, because that is what is going to give you a drive to keep them doing. An event with little to no gain for the sake of just having an event will get you demotivated really quickly. I know this happens a lot in a bunch of communities in which F&Ms, when there's a bunch of stores, just F&M they're starting doing it for free, and it sounds great for players, especially players who are just beginning and they just want to play. It sounds great to them, but then you really get demotivated really fast. Usually F&Ms, if they're really full, if you're like in a big community, they can go for 5 rounds, 6 rounds. You can end up making them till midnight. And when you start slowly realizing you are doing this with no gain, and that you have to work again the next day in the morning, you really start getting demotivated. You really pay attention to your event. Your rounds go long, player gets tired. Your overall event quality will really decay. It is very important that no matter how small your event is, you see some gain from it. It's also your responsibility to your store to make sure that whatever you do actually has a positive impact on your store. Products. If you're gonna sell it, learn it. Just learn it. You don't love it. All you have to do is to be able to make smart decisions about your product. Somebody just asks about it and say like, "Oh, I heard it's good." Be able to go out and explain to him how to play. Know which players in your community are able to give a demo for the product. That is really important for this business. Where are you? Creating new players. Players come and go all the time. Player comes and go all the time, and we want to make sure that you get players coming in all the time. So you make sure you have more players coming in than going out. Now, making new players is the most valuable and important trick of the trade. It is much easier to bring in a new player than to keep it. You want to take advantage of this fact and concentrate your efforts to bring as many as you can. This is the best way by far of maintaining any hobby shop business, by making new players. And how can we do this? Of course, activities outside your store are essential. For your slow seasons, like for us, it's usually Christmas, those days before Christmas. You want to go to conventions, fairs, and whatever other geek pack activities you can find around your area. Or maybe you can even organize events yourselves. The important thing is that you put your games out there where people can learn about them. I have learned that colleges and usually colleges and malls are the best places where you want to put your promo. If you're gonna hand out flyers, or just do like an open demo day. Those are the best places, malls and colleges. On demos, you as a judge should take your initiative and volunteer to make demos in an event outside the store. I find that in-store demos are not as effective unless you're having something like an open house or a demo day. Demos should be short and fun. You can take some initiative and prepare like a demo script. So not only you can do it, not only you can, that is something you can bring to your store, anyone can do it. And if your local retailer is impressed with your small 15 minutes demo, you can suggest that he can make the same thing like for other games. So you can just have like a real nice package of demos that anyone can do at any time. Now, also, once you have your new players, when you have your players interested, it's also really important to engage. Engaging with customer has been a customer service must since the beginning of time. In this business, it's crucial that you engage with customers in order to maximize revenue. It is very common to spend minutes and even hours talking about the good old days with some guy that at the end of 2 hours is just gonna buy like a $15 intro pack and then just walk out the store. That is not bad considering that we are capable of making hundreds of dollars in just a few minutes in our transactions. There's information you should know about your customer in the first few minutes you meet them. What kind of game they like? Are they competitive or are they casual? And how much are they willing to spend on your merchandise? These first two can be pretty easily asked straightforward. Once you meet a hi, what's your name? What kind of game do you play? Whenever you see a customer walking in and he's just looking around, this is the perfect time to ask the first question. What kind of games do you like? What do you play? And the perfect way to tell if a player is a casual player or just a competitive player is to ask, where does he play? What kind of tournaments has he played recently? That's usually give it away. He's just say, I'm just playing with my friends. He's a casual player. Or I go to the store. I've been playing GPs. He's a competitive player, and you know what kind of products he's looking for. Now, on the later, how much are they willing to spend on the game? Well, there's a few tricks for this. You can try asking what kind of products they have bought before. If they say like they like to buy fact packs, fact packs, or they just buy boosters, or they just buy intro packs. You can tell pretty quickly how much it's the range of allowance they have to spend in your games. Okay. Another thing you can help as judges that I think this is the better way to deal with these kind of problems. It's with your help, with the help of judges. It's dealing with stores closing around your area. Usually, this is really chaotic because whenever a store is closing, they just go and try to discount everything on the stores, and then all of the stores around the area really affect. And usually, when a big store is closing, they can take down a few stores around them if you're not really careful. Now, you as judges should encourage other stores, healthy stores around the area to buy out most of the closing store's inventory. I know it sounds kind of sketchy that you want to be the middleman, but just don't be the middleman. Just go with the advice. Like this, they're closing around, and we don't want to see this store being affected by it. Why don't you just go ahead and just call the other store and just tell them how much are they willing to give you their merchandise. If you just bought it all, or you just bought a big chunk of it. It's also very important that you're not caught as the middleman in this kind of business. You want to be like a small ambassador here. You want to be really involved in the numbers. But this is something that you can really help in it. Now, when you go with advice, where are we? When you go with advice to your retailer, there are 3 things you should not do. Things you should never do. Boss the boss around. What do I mean by this? Don't go, you should do this or you should do that. Instead, go to them and say, look, I think I've been seeing this problem going on, and this is what I think you should, this is what I think you should do about it. Just don't go out pointing problems and saying, this is wrong, this is bad. Have a more positive approach and say, I think this is what you can do better about it. Go to your retailer with solutions, because that is really what we need. Patience. You're really gonna need patience when dealing with retailers, because of course they're the boss. So if you run out of patience, which you should have since you're judges, and we is one of the greatest tools we have, you should really try to retain composure when dealing with defensive postures. It isn't really normal to have people approach to you when you're a retailer with advice. It looks shady at first if they don't know you, if you're not close. So just have a little bit of patience. Try to show your good intentions as best as you can, and try to demonstrate that you have some sort of experience in the industry, that you know about what you're talking about, and just keep trying. Keep trying. You get to them. Very important. Do not go public with your concerns. Do not flame or discredit any store or player, even if you're claiming absolutely true and it's backed up with a ton of evidence and the person truly really deserves to burn eternity in hell. Just don't do it. Why? Once something is said about someone in your community, it will be attributed to everyone in the community. It will stick, believe me. Our industry is already haunted by a lot of prejudice, and your community doesn't need more of it. If a Magic player's, if someone says, like in public media, Magic player is a thief, it's gonna catch up. Everybody's a thief. If we smell, everybody's smelly. Now, what I didn't talk about in this presentation was about marketing, your overall play area, your concessions, and about discounting. I left these subjects out of this talk essentially because each of these are going to be very different for each store. Each owner should be able to identify the needs of their clients accordingly. The most important thing to keep in mind is that every decision taken on these subjects should be done with your situation exclusively in mind. Do not affect these aspects just because a nearby store is doing something similar. Market to your clients always and not to others' clients. That is the easiest ways to make bad business decisions. I would never recommend discounting on anything that hasn't passed its shelf life, which I consider is around 3 months. And on marketing is a science. I should know about it. That is my major. I'm a publicity major. I've tried to have something for you today, but the thing is that you can't spend a bunch of money on marketing if it isn't correctly placed. Product placement is key on the marketing business. No matter how many posters you do, no matter how many flyers you do, no matter how many commercial spots you can buy, if you are not correctly placed, you're wasting your money. They're just paper. What I want to tell you, what I want all of you to take from this, even though they are not people, your local store is an important member of your community. We judges can use our position to help stores with minor adjustments to their operations from the perspective of our customer and as an industry official. Remember that giving advice is something you can do, but don't feel like you have to. If you see your local retailer doing something you think it's affecting their store negatively, point it out. But it's very important that you suggest solutions. Don't just go out saying this is wrong. Solutions. We are ambassadors of this game, and there is much more to Magic than just the game. Magic is about having a good time, sharing experiences with other people around the world, and being involved with your community. Thank you. We're good? Okay. Anybody have any questions? Questions for me, come on. Yep. I can't hear you. That is a big trouble. We have tried to speak to distributors about this problem, about they just selling our product to stores that are really, really near to each other. It is definitely going to affect your local store when a store opens like really nearby. What you have to do is just make sure that whatever you do weekly, the things you do weekly, make sure that they run smoothly, they are not affected, because those are the ones your loyal players go to, and you want to keep them loyal. The other thing is that don't compete, don't lower your prices. If they're giving away their prices, they're eventually gonna figure out that no matter how much you lower your prices, our kind of customers always have the same kind of allowance, to spend in our games. If a player usually spends around $30 in Magic, no matter how cheap you make it, they're just gonna spend $30. And usually when this happens, it's because someone is, not pleased with their local store, just doing it for their friends, and they usually don't last very long. Also, there is really not much you can do there. I wish the distributors would kind of moderate this. They won't sell product to stores that are just opening really close to another one, but there's nothing we can do there. Anybody else? Yes. Okay, that is what I emphasize a bit on creating new players, because usually you think when you got a new product out and you see, oh, I got 20 players playing it, but then you realize they're the same players that play Magic, or the same players that play, whatever other card games. You should try. Your goal is to have one player play around 2 games, never more than 2 games. You're always going to have your players that is loyal to just one game, and you have your players that just buy everything they see. But don't consider competition. Trying to find a balance in it. You should really be aware of what have the biggest profit margin, and what you can keep selling. Like, so right now we're having like a strong competition with card games, like deck building games. But these are usually like a one-time buy thing. So what you want to do is to have them available. But just how can I explain this? Just balance the time for events on your store, and it should be fine. You shouldn't be competing, between each other. Yes.
Like players of one game feeling contempt for players of another game. For instance, if you have Yu-Gi-Oh players that feel like they're not being treated fairly because of like Magic players that like Magic has more events and like it's a larger market. Right. Yu-Gi-Oh players just feel contempt towards Magic players.
I am from Puerto Rico, which is, I don't know, really far away, and we have exactly the same problem. This is something that is happening everywhere. It used to be that card games like Yu-Gi-Oh had more exposure, but now Magic is having a bigger exposure. Our tournaments are growing. There are more tournaments every weekend, and they're looking at us like we are entering the spotlight, and that's what is happening. The Yu-Gi-Oh players is seeing Magic entering the spotlight and saying, "Ah, what about us?" The truth is that every organized play, every game has a different organized play, and there's so much we can do for them. we can try to create, and this is for every game that is single format. You can try to create your own house rule format, and just try it out with your players and see what works. You definitely don't want to make them feel like they're being marginalized, being pushed back. You should go out and you should go out and let them know that you feel their concerns and that you're trying to make your best. But this is something that's going to be very different for every store. Yes.
Do you know of any good ways to deal with like predatory marketing campaigns put on by other stores, like inter-store basically fights of like one store will spread rumors about the other store that can't necessarily be easily proven?
Wow.
And try to take other players away from that store?
Well, those are really harsh accusations. That is almost crossing the legal line, right there. Illegal should be taken to the correct authorities, right there. It's gonna depend on your state and your state laws about that. Get a good lawyer and see what happens. Yeah, but what you should do is just go to both, to both store owners and just speak to them and let them know this is childish. They're setting a really bad example for their community, and if it is like a group of players that are doing this, remove them from the store. Don't allow this. Yes.
With the explosion of Magic and a lot of new players coming to the card game, what's the best recommendation you have for starting a new player out? Event deck versus intro pack versus deck builder?
If they never played a card game, intro pack. If they play something else and they understand tournament play, event deck. Event deck it's been like the greatest thing Magic has ever created since, maybe Duels of the Planeswalker, which really racked up a lot of players. But yeah, definitely. Intro packs if you're totally new, event decks if they're kind of aware of the competitive play. Anyone else? We're all done? Thank you guys. Enough? No?